Welcome, everybody, to College Football with Heather. We are live. It is the day after Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. It is Rivalry Week. Try to say that like fast, right? Rivalry Week. It's Rivalry Week. Yeah. I am Heather. You can find me on X at Love Buckeyes. Follow us on YouTube at Bougie Sports, Bougie, Bougie Sports, and follow us on our on our website at bougiesports.net. So without further ado, I am going to introduce Joseph, my special guest here, my very special Ohio State friend. So Joseph, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us where we can find you, because I will tell you guys, he does some killer pods. So you definitely want to check him out.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. I'm Joseph. You can find me at OSU FB Fanatic on Twitter. That's or X FANAT. I can't spell Fanatic. FANAT.
We don't get paid to spell here.
Sorry. And I have two spaces that I run on Twitter. I have a baseball space every Tuesday night, MLB Barrel Up with Anna and Joseph. Anna is my co-host, and we've been doing that space for 2 years, and we do it all year round during the regular season. It continues through the off season. She's wonderful. It's a blast. So check that out Tuesday nights at 8:00. And I'm starting a new NFL space. I'm starting on Thursday, starting December 5th. So a week from today, or a week from yesterday. NFL Gridiron Talk. I'll be doing it with James, and that will be, we're still working through the time. It'll either be 8 or 9 p.m. We haven't finalized the time yet, but that begins Thursday, December 5th. So hopefully everyone can join us there. And it's a blast, and really excited to talk some college football here with Heather.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I feel like this is the week that we wait for, right? Like every year as college fans, you dread it because it's the end of the regular season, but you wait for it because this is the biggest week of the year for rivalries. And who knew the playoff implications would be this intense this year? Because I feel like all of the upsets that we've seen, how insane it has been insane. This season has been one for the books as far as upsets. So it's been exciting this year.
Yeah, there's definitely been some chaos for sure, and with the and I think more to come, and we'll dive into the games, and I'm sure we'll make some picks. But I do see some chaotic things happen, as long as it's not to my team. But I could see some chaos tomorrow for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about, we're going to first get into the Ohio State-Indiana matchup. It was the big matchup last week. Everybody was waiting for it. I know that there were quite a few experts that had picked Ohio State to lose. I know Pat McAfee had said that Indiana. I think though that Pat McAfee does it just to be the instigator. I know our resident homer, Desmond Howard, always picks, against Ohio State, but there were actually some people who thought that Indiana was going to give a lot more trouble than what they give. And to give people some background, Ohio State went into this with some, intense hatred, intense feelings, because Indiana's coach, love him, like him. If you're a Hoosier, you love the guy because he's so incredibly cocky. He is so hype, like he loves his team. But there's a couple of clips that I want to show, and I'm the first one. So when he first got hired, this is what he said. This is. So he brought Michigan and Ohio State into it. It's one thing to say Purdue sucks. It's one thing to say your rival sucks and get the crowd hype, but you had to bring in Ohio State and Michigan, and we don't forget about that stuff. And then there was the cocky.
Your vision of your culture. I mean,
who are you talking about? The high school guys, the transfers, who?
All of the above. I mean, how do you? Is there?
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Mm-hmm. So we did. so let's break down the recap of the. So Joseph, go ahead. Let's start with you. What were your overall impressions, thoughts, takeaways from this game?
So I thought going into the game, when you look at how the Ohio State secondary has been playing leading up to the game, you would have been concerned because Indiana was the number 2 efficiency offense in the country, and Curtis Rourke had been playing just at a very high level. They have good receivers on the outside, good offensive line, serviceable running backs. Going into that game, I think there were a number of Ohio State fans concerned that the Indiana offense could move the ball through the air, not so much through the ground, but through the air when you look at how the Indiana offense was playing versus how the Ohio State secondary was playing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you got to the first drive of that game, you're like, oh boy.
Here we go.
And to be fair, I don't know what it is. That defense has done that. We did it against Northwestern. We let Purdue kind of go right down the field and drive a little bit. So that first drive, and first drives are scripted. So, to be fair, Indiana had that drive scripted probably by Thursday afternoon. So they knew what they were going to run. So, and it felt like, they went right down the field, got some key third down conversions, and Buckeye fans were like, oh, wow, this isn't a good start. And Ohio State takes the ball, they have to punt, and we're like, all right, well, this isn't the best start. And Jim Knowles, from a defensive standpoint, Jim Knowles was like, all right, enough of this. I'm just going to blitz. And he blitzed the entire game.
Everyone.
Yeah, he really did. And Indiana had 70 yards on the first drive, 60. I forget how long the last drive was, like 65 yards. They only ended the game with 151 yards.
Yep.
So if we're looking at this from a defensive standpoint, they had 10 yards in between the first drive and the last drive. And in college football, sacks are when you lose. It's different in college than the NFL.
Yeah.
Sacks are a reduction of rushing yards in college football. So it's hard to really get a feel for, because Ohio State had a large number of sacks in that game. So it's hard to tell how many lost yards Indiana had on sacks, because I didn't, but
they had 5. I think we ended up with 5 sacks in that game, and Cody Simon was responsible for 2.5 of them. He was a monster that game.
Yep. And they had the forced turnover on the sack, and
yep.
Yeah, and we got a gift. Indiana muffed the punt. Caleb Downs is on our team. That's a good thing.
That was okay. I did not have Caleb Downs returning a punt for a touchdown on my bingo card. I did not have that. I didn't see that. We haven't returned a punt in, it's been like 10 years, I think.
Jalen Marshall did it in
2014
against Indiana, I believe.
It was. Did you happen to see the big noon kickoff? I think it was Ted Ginn. They asked Ted Ginn for his crazy prediction, his crazy take, and he said we're going to get a punt return to the house. And sure enough, I mean, that was a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, you always got to credit the punt returner because he made the spin, but I do want to give some props. Like the gunners, usually when you're watching film of a punt return, you're looking at the returner. But if you have a chance to go back and watch the film, watch the job the gunners did on the outside, like especially Denzel Burke. You look at the great block CJ Hicks had down there on the sideline. So
I was going to say CJ Hicks. I think that the CJ Hicks block was, Denzel Burke, and that poor guy doesn't get enough. He's getting so much hatred this year. Yeah, some of it rightfully so, and some of it I think that he just had such a bad game against Oregon that every single thing that he does is just is overhyped. But that block with Hicks, I think that was kind of the change in that. And I was waiting for were you waiting for the flag? I was waiting for the flag.
It looked marginal. Yes. We've seen that caught a block in the back before. Mm-hmm. It looked marginal. It was 50-50 to me.
Well, there's no consistency.
There's no consistency. I'm glad, if it's 50-50, I would just rather the refs pick it up or not throw it, because
I agree. Let them play.
I was, I think me and a lot of other Buckeye fans were waiting to see if the flag was going to come out there.
Right. We were waiting. We were definitely waiting for that because that's what we're used to. I think we're just
Yeah.
something explosive like that happens, they usually throw the flag. And, I'm not real big on refs calling the games one way or another, but I will say that this year has been exceptionally bad in all of college football. Some of the calls have been questionable. It's been pretty bad.
Yeah, I agree. It's been rough in spots. You just rather them let the kids play. So
Yeah.
hopefully,
Oh no. Okay. We have a comment here by my good friend Mike, and so for anybody that's watched, Joseph, I don't know if you got a chance to watch last week when we did our pod, but we previewed this game. He's the Hoosier. Lives in Indiana, so he's a little bit salty because we have a bet. So he's going to come on my show on December 13th. Everyone tune in December 13th. And he is going to wear an Ohio State shirt and sing the fight song. So
is he a good singer?
No, I hope not. I hope not.
Right.
He lost his bet though, so he's got to pay his due. So he said it should have been a flag. You're wrong. It shouldn't have been a flag. So
I'll say it was close. It just looked really. It's a call that probably could have went either way, and we've definitely seen that called before. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, we've seen it, but we've also on the flip side of that, we've seen it missed. We've seen it missed a lot of times. Sure. So again, there's just no consistency. I was just waiting for it because it's been so long since we've had a punt return. I was waiting for it. And to your so Cody Simon, so here are some stats that we had on defense. So again, like you had mentioned, 151 total yards. Now, like you said, sacks get counted as negative, but still 151 total yards, total positive yardage. Cody Simon, 10 tackles, 4 were solo, 2.5 were sacks, and 2.5 of those, obviously, tackles for losses. Sonny Styles had a game, and we don't talk about him enough, I don't think. You talk about the Caleb Downs because he's so popular. You talk about the JT Tuimoloau. Sonny Styles, 8 total tackles, 3 were solo, and 1 tackle for loss. He had himself a game. And then Caleb Downs always has a game, 5 total tackles, 1 sack, and then that punt return. And those were just a few of the highlights. But just looking at the stats across the board, everybody played pretty evenly. There were a lot of our defensive guys that were involved.
Yeah, the defense was just on a heater that entire game. And I was very critical of Sonny Styles early in the year. He was out of position. I'm like, should we have moved him to linebacker? Should we have kept him at safety?
Right.
But he's been outstanding the last few weeks. And Cody Simon has played as well as any linebacker I've seen in the country the last month. So if we can get that out of him tomorrow and into the as we move forward, this team's going to be in a very good spot. It's hard to evaluate the secondary because Curtis Rourke didn't have really time to throw.
Pass, right.
So pressure always helps the secondary, right? Because they don't have to cover for very long. And there was a point in that game where Curtis Rourke was just seeing ghosts. Yep. So if quarterback can't have time to throw the ball, then.
Well, and I think on that first drive, Davison Igbinosun had 2 pass interference penalties, and that's, I know I am very, I'm probably not as critical of Ohio State as I could be. I mean, I'm a homer, I'm a big fan, but I did tweet out, death, taxes, and Iggy getting a pass interference. Like it's just a guarantee almost anymore. So they definitely need to clean that up because maybe we're not going to see it so much against Michigan. And we'll talk about that because Michigan is pretty one-dimensional, but you can't have that against these teams going into the playoffs. You can't have Burke and Igbinosun getting burned and getting those pass interference calls. So it's definitely hard to say.
Igbinosun is really handsy, and they've just not let him get away with any of that because he has a reputation of being handsy. So if he even reaches out, they're going to call him. There was a point in the game where I saw a lot of cries for Jermaine Matthews, and he got some run in that game. They sat Igbinosun down for a few series. I don't think Igbinosin ever reaches a spot where he gets benched.
I don't either. I was just going to say that. And I don't think I'm there. Are you there? I don't think I'm there.
No, because he's made some plays this year also, and he's got good ball skills when he's not getting handsy. I think you look at the interception he made against Penn State. And what play that was. So
right.
No, I think. And to your point, it probably won't show up against Michigan, but you get to Oregon, then you're gonna have to kind of be careful there. So
right, and maybe they do a bit of a rotation. Maybe they give Igbinosin a bit of a break, give the offense a different look. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that they need a little bit of work in that secondary.
The answer is probably just blitz so the quarterback can't throw. So
we didn't do a lot of that in the Oregon game. I feel like the Penn State game kind of was the turning of the tide for the defense and for that offensive line. Let's talk about that offensive line for Ohio State. That injury to Seth was devastating, and it was one of those things where you just think, my God, how many more injuries can we sustain on that line? But it almost felt like, okay, now Seth is on the sidelines. He is like the biggest cheerleader. Like, are they doing it for him now? It's truly that next man up mentality. And Will Howard had all day. He had all day. It was unbelievable. He went 14 for 14 for his first 14 passes. He was 85. He had an 85% completion rate. He was 22 of 26, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 rushing. What more do you want out of your quarterback?
Yeah, he was spectacular. 22 of 26, 201, 2 touchdowns. The interception, some could argue, wasn't his fault.
His fault. I don't think it was. Yep. It was off the hands.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think if you're a tight end, you probably should be able to come up with that ball. Made a couple really good throws. That throw down there on the sideline to Carnell Tate, that was the drive where they turned 3rd and 40 into first down, and then it was
3rd and 41, and Joel said, "Here's where you just run the ball," and we're like, "Hold RV, or we're gonna pass it on 3rd and 41," and then it was 4th and 10. So we picked up 31 on that, and then it was 4th and 10, and we converted, and I'm like, "That's
we're just gonna throw 2 20-yard passes and get the first down." So
I know.
That was wild. But he's been efficient all year, and he's got a QBR of 85, which is 4th best in the country.
Yep.
He's not getting the Heisman love, maybe
because why? Maybe
I think there's a go ahead. I was just gonna say I think people look at he's got all the talent in the world around him.
So did the other court. I mean, maybe say for Cam Ward, I think Cam Ward is probably my front runner for it, just because of the level of talent. Without a Cam Ward, Miami they're a 500 team maybe without a Ward.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter what the talent level is. You could have argued that last year with Kyle McCord that he should have been a Heisman contender then, because he was god awful, but he looked really good because he had that talent. So you shouldn't get punished as a quarterback for having that talent. And I think that the Heisman, listen, if we win the Heisman ever, I think that I would be on cloud 9. But I think that the Heisman anymore as a quarterback, it's just another quarterback award, because it's going to be rare to see anybody actually get it over a quarterback.
Yeah, I tend to agree. We'll see how because you've got Ashton Jeanty and Travis Hunter, who a lot of people think might be the 2 front runners. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that voting. And Boise State has not played great competition. So how do the voters weigh those things? Travis Hunter plays both ways. So it'll be really. I think my pick here would be Jeanty, only because of the gaudy numbers he would put up. But if Hunter or Ward won it, I don't think I would be that surprised either.
No, and looking at just looking at the, going off script here, but looking at all the people they had there, I'm not mad. I wouldn't be mad about anybody that won, but I think that Will Howard is not getting enough. And the same for Jeremiah Smith not getting, I don't even think he's in for the Biletnikoff Award. I think maybe he doesn't deserve it, but my God, he should be a finalist for it. He is broken every Ohio State record as a freshman. He's a freak.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised he wasn't a finalist of
Mm-hmm.
the Biletnikoff Award. He's just some of he just makes, throw it in his vicinity, he'll catch it. I can't believe we get him for 3 more years, but
I like, how is this
or
really?
2 more years, I guess. But,
well, 2 more years, yeah, because he's going, and please, to the boosters, whoever, throw money at him. Throw money
yeah.
at him. We gotta keep him.
So I kind of went off script there, but you asked about the offensive line, and Will Howard didn't get sacked in that game. We didn't run the ball
No,
great, but Indiana's got a good front seven and a good run defense, and Henderson got 40 yards on that last drive. So you wonder, and they're playing. And obviously, we're going to get into that. They're playing a better defensive line here coming up tomorrow. So that would be, and I'm nitpicking here. That would be my only kind of gripe with the offensive line. But to keep Will Howard clean, Kamara's a very good pass rusher for Indiana, and they kept him away from Will Howard. So
yeah, Mike commented Kamara had 0 pressures in the game. It was the first time in his career that ever happened to him. So it was just a credit to that line. They had a plan. They had a plan to stop him.
Yeah, so I'm very, very encouraged by what I saw. So it'd be interesting to see how they decide to attack the Michigan offense here next. I think I'm jumping ahead. Do you think I want to talk about Michigan?
Yeah, I know. We're very excited. We're very excited about it. So we'll go ahead and Ohio State. It was just a convincing win all the way around. I think that everybody talked about before the game. Everybody talked about casual fans, serious fans, anybody who was not vested in this game, that said Indiana could not go in and get blown out because that could possibly ruin their playoff chances. And what did Ohio State do? They went in and they blew them out. That last touchdown that they scored was in garbage time. It was not,
Indiana sat on it.
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, all right, well, they're going to go hurry up, try to score.
They did not.
Kurt Cignetti was going to take 8 minutes off the clock, score a touchdown, and play damage control so the CFP committee would not drop them out of the top 10. And that's exactly what ended up happening. So
and then Ryan Day went down the field. Trey got that big yard that big run, and he slid down at the 1 yard line. But Ryan Day was like, you know what? We're not going to. This is what Ryan Day was asked about it post game, and this is what he had said about this.
And Uriah did go and score that last touchdown. What can you tell me about that decision?
Well, we say leave no doubt, and these guys want to finish the game the right way. Travion did the right thing going down at the 1 yard line. We ate up the clock. We don't want to put the defense back out there. You just never know in games like this. It's a top 5 matchup. So we wanted to finish it the right way and make sure that everybody knows that this is the Ohio State Buckeyes.
So I think that was just a way to say you shouldn't have run your mouth. And we wanted to leave no doubt that we are the best team, not only in the Big Ten, but in college football right now. And whether that's true or not, it doesn't matter. As long as those players believe that, and as long as Ryan Day has those guys believing that, that's what you want going into the biggest game, the game, and going into the playoffs. So because again, getting ahead of myself, this game does matter. It doesn't matter what Michigan's record is. They always come in, and it doesn't matter how good either team is. This game is a toss-up all the time. And we have to win this game. We lose, we're out. Just plain and simple. So
yeah, I definitely thought that was a nice way of Ryan Day saying, what you said as you want to score and try an onside kick? Well, I'm going to try and score too. So right, wrong, or indifferent, I think that was his mindset.
It was. And we'll go ahead and I don't know, just did you have any closing thoughts on the Ohio State Indiana game? I will play one more clip and then we'll go ahead and get into the previews for rivalry.
The only thing I'll say is I saw a lot of people calling Indiana frauds after the game. I don't know if I'd go that far.
Either.
Ohio State is playing really well, and they are good enough to win a national championship. So the way Indiana played in that game should not.
I don't think so either.
Shouldn't take away from the fact that they've played well for this season. So I would not call them frauds. So they're not good enough to beat a national championship caliber team. We thought that anyway. So
Exactly.
the way Indiana performed shouldn't really sway the national opinion
No.
a ton, but it seems like it has.
Yeah, I think the way they played in the first half was, I mean, we went in 14-7. It was the second half where the wheels kind of fell off. And I think that the committee needs to, maybe everybody needs to take a pause. If you're an Indiana fan and they are in a rebuild,
Right.
they keep this up, they're going to be, formidable.
Sure.
So I will leave with Will Howard I like what Will Howard says here about how, we always say that we don't hear the outside noise, but we do. So this is what Will Howard
reaction for you on the sideline after that touchdown. I think I heard you say, Google me. What went into that reaction?
Yeah, I just try to say we don't listen to, this stuff on social media, but we hear it, man. So, I was just having some fun with it, but I got a lot of respect for those guys, man. I think, what Coach Signetti's done over there he's done a heck of a job, but, the Buckeyes are here and the Buckeyes won. So you can Google that.
So he did what I like to call he did what I like to call a shit sandwich. So when you're giving someone bad feedback, you want to bad, good, bad. You want to, you kind of want to, that's what he did. He did, cocky and then humble, and then he finished it with the cocky. So how can you not Will Howard is kind of like our Signetti. We love him as Ohio State fans, but I'm sure the outside country is like, look at him, he's so cocky. So I'm a Will Howard fan for sure. The kid gets it. He's a Buckeye.
They hear it. They see it. They're not supposed to be on social media. Again, we said this before we went live. We've reached a point where we now have to troll Indiana. That kind of makes me chuckle.
You did. Yeah. So for everybody, Joseph and I were talking before we got on here, and he said, we are at a point this year where we are trolling Indiana and talking trash to Indiana. So guys, that's been the madness of this college football season. It's crazy.
Yeah. I guess it means they're relevant though. So maybe if you're an Indiana fan, that makes you feel makes you feel good because Indiana has reached some sort of relevance. So
yeah, it's exciting
not
time to be a Hoosier. You got mollywopped, but you got beat by a really good team. So
Absolutely.
So rivalry week, it is. Like I said, it's the best time of the year in the sense that it is so exciting. This is the best for fans. There's always going to be games on that for someone that's not vested. You want to watch these games because anything can happen in these games. You go in with these teams that you hate, and some are a little bit better than others. Some don't care, some don't seem to care, but we've got a lot of playoff implications going on here, and you've got a lot of pride going on. So it's sad. It's the final week of the season, and it just feels like it was just spring ball, and I was excited to go to spring game, and here we are talking about hate week. So let's start with some of the bigger games of the week that we're going to just run down, give our brief picks, and then we'll break down some of the, I don't want to say more important game, but the games with some bigger implications. So Georgia Tech, who do you have in that game?
I think Georgia, they almost lost to Kentucky. They gave up 31 to Mississippi State. They were kind of playing with their food against UMass.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Should have lost had Florida's quarterback not got hurt, maybe they lose to Florida.
Yeah.
This game's too important to Georgia. I think Georgia wins. Georgia just kind of feels like they play with their food a lot.
They do.
But in Athens, against a Georgia Tech team that is respectable, 7-4. So if Georgia didn't show up ready to play, I think Georgia Tech can make that game close. I think the spread's a little too big for my liking.
Okay.
I do think Georgia, what is it? It's 17.5. Yeah, I think that's a big number. I like Georgia to win. I like Georgia Tech to cover.
I like Georgia to win. I like it to be close because I think Beck gets a little too big for his britches, and I think he worries a little bit too much about the social media aspect and about being the star and the guy. And I think sometimes he goes in and he just doesn't perform the way he should. I think that Kirby Smart is going to have them ready. And I think that they all understand that this is a must-win, no exception game, because if they lose, they're out. So I do think it's Georgia, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, agreed.
And everybody that's watching live, in the comments, tell us who you think is going to win too. So we'd like to hear from you on that. What is it? Is this one Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Is that the Egg Bowl? Is that one the Egg Bowl? Yeah, that's the Egg Bowl. Okay. So who do you have in the Egg Bowl?
Yeah, Mississippi State's 2-9. Ole Miss coming off a tough loss.
Tough loss.
I don't think they have, what are they? They're 9-3, 8-3.
8-3.
Their playoff chances feel on life support.
Yeah.
If there's any. With that being said, though, Mississippi State's not very good.
No.
And I think Ole Miss wins comfortably here. Spread is 25. That's a big number in a rivalry game. I still think they can cover that because Mississippi State's just not very good.
Yeah. I have Ole Miss by a mile. I think that they're coaching for the future now. They're playing for the future. So I think that Ole Miss pulls it out by a mile.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting game for me. This one, Colorado, Oklahoma State. So to give everybody so Colorado was in cruise control. They were going to be into the playoffs. They just had to beat Kansas. They did not beat Kansas. So now chaos has to ensue for Colorado to make it into the playoffs. So what has to happen? And I had to write this down, so I have to refer because this is a lot. So in order for that to happen, Colorado has to win. Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State has to lose, or Texas Tech has to win and BYU has to lose. I don't think that any of that is going to happen. So what do you think this Colorado game, Oklahoma State, since, so much has to happen and Colorado's got to rely on a lot of chaos. They're not in control anymore.
Also, Oklahoma State's not very good. They're winless they're winless in the Big 12. I do think Colorado, coming off that tough loss to Kansas, will bounce back. I do like Colorado to win. Actually, they're up 21-0 right now. That game's going on now. So,
Are they?
Yeah. I was gonna say I love Colorado to cover. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. We're predicting this. I actually don't have a TV down here, so.
Well, I had some notes. I had some notes on my iPad, and I had a second app open. And I saw the score.
Yeah, I need to turn that. I need to turn that game on.
It's 21. Right? It's 21-0 with 13:20 to go in the second quarter.
Okay, so they're going to blow them out. It's going to be
going into this game. Oklahoma State's not very good, so I did think Colorado would win this.
So everybody is seeing, like, I did have Colorado winning, and I had by a lot.
I forgot that game was going on. I'm like, well, I think Colorado's going to win comfortably, and I look at them.
Wait a minute. Oh no, they're definitely going to win comfortably. See, we're geniuses. We are geniuses.
Yeah. We have the crystal ball, so if y'all want to bet on some games,
we do.
We're here.
We do. Tennessee, Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
We might differ on this one. Let me give you mine. I think Vanderbilt is going to upset Tennessee in this one.
Oh, okay. Spicy.
Yeah, this is my upset prediction. I'm probably going to be wrong, guys. Take what I say with a grain of salt, but I think that Vanderbilt is going to come in and upset. Vandy has nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose. They have nothing to prove. They've already beaten an Alabama this year, so maybe they're going in with the mentality of let's take down 2 Titans, let's take down 2 Kings, and they have the talent to do it. I know that they're playing in Knoxville. I know that they're playing in Tennessee, so it's a hostile environment, but I think Vandy could pull it off.
So this game is in Nashville? This game is in
Nashville. I'm sorry. Yeah, Nashville. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. So
I thought they were. Is it in Nashville?
Yeah.
Okay.
First Bank. Yep.
So they're playing. Yeah. So they're not going to be playing. The upset. I'm calling the upset.
So I was close to getting there. I think I can see it happening. I think if you look at Vanderbilt, obviously the win over Alabama, played Texas really tough, ended
They
up
did.
losing that game, made some turnovers. They've got a quarterback in Diego Pavia that can make some plays, made a lot of plays down the stretch there against Alabama. All the pressure in this game, to your points, on Tennessee. Right now they're firmly in the playoffs. You
But a
lose this
loss?
game, you're
Yep.
probably not.
Yep. Right.
So yeah, I think I'm going to pick Tennessee to win a close one, but I think Vanderbilt's going to push them, and I think this is going to be a field goal game. But I think this is going to be a fun one, and I would not be surprised if Vanderbilt won this game. I mean, they're bowl eligible, so they're not the Vanderbilt. They're not the Vanderbilt we're used to seeing. They're 6-5. They've played some ranked teams really tough. We know about the win against Alabama.
Yep.
Clark Lee's done a great job there. So I think this is this is a sneaky good one in my opinion.
Yeah, this is a trap game to me. I think it's one of those. I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Agreed.
So kudos to Vandy for playing this way this year. They've had a nice season. They've had a really nice season. I think that this one's going to be a blowout. What do you think the Miami-Syracuse game?
Ooh. Yeah, Miami's in the ACC title game if they win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like Miami. I think Syracuse can cover, though. I think Syracuse can keep it close. Miami plays with their food a lot also.
Yes, they do. Every week.
Their defense struggles, and Kyle McCord has had some good games where Syracuse has scored some points. He's also had some games where he's turned the ball over 3 times. Ohio State fans can relate. But I digress. I do like Miami to win this game, just of everything that's on the line. I think Cam Ward will be Cam Ward, make a lot of plays down the field. I like a high scoring affair here. I think you could see some like maybe a 38-30 type game. I think this could be an entertaining game, but I do like Miami in the end. And shall they win, that'll give us an SMU Miami ACC title game. Not sure we had that on our bingo card, but that will be where we're at.
I know. That's just again the madness of this college football season has been like I can't really remember a season like this with all of the week in week out the upsets every single week, and you really maybe outside of Oregon you don't see that true dominant team, and again call me a homer, call me whatever you want, but even playing against Ohio State we lost by 1. So I wouldn't even say that, and we burned ourselves a lot in that game.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even say that Oregon is this dominant, unbeatable force in this year. I don't know. I don't know. It could go either way. And you see all these upsets week over week, and you're just like, another upset. It's just kind of what is this week or this year.
Yeah, almost expected. It has become the norm for sure.
Yeah. I have Miami winning, but McCord is no stranger to big games either. So he's not going to go in with maybe some of the nerves that a old Syracuse would have went into with this game, because McCord does have that experience. He does have those big games. So we have Notre Dame USC. Now, Notre Dame is interesting. I'm sure most of the people who are watching, pretty much probably all of the people watching, understand that Notre Dame is unique because they don't have a conference that they're in. So to put that into perspective, the way the college football brackets work is there's seedings and there's rankings. So your seedings are going to be your conference champions. So 1 through 4 are going to be the conference champions. Notre Dame will never, in the format that it is now, and with the situation that Notre Dame is in, they'll never be a top 4 seed. So they'll never get a first round bye. Best they could do is 5th. Is that going to hurt them eventually? Do you think having to play that extra game, having to, prepare in a way that a lot of the other conferences don't have to prepare for?
Yeah, I've asked that question myself, and you wonder maybe down the line. My opinion is maybe it forces Notre Dame to join a conference at some point, but the TV revenue they have from their NBC deal is so significant. Maybe they just are okay with that. I'm of the opinion that I think Notre Dame's in a conference at some point, but would I be surprised if they stand pat? No, I wouldn't, because they've stand pat this long. So
they joined a conference though in basketball, correct? So they could play in the tournament. So I wonder if they do, something like that, like maybe for which isn't fair. I don't like that in the basketball format. Maybe that's okay, but because 64 teams make it, in basketball. So when you only have 12 teams, I think that they need to stay in your lane, pick a conference or stay out forever. But I do foresee them going into a conference at some point.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And will it be the ACC, since they're in the AC and other sports, or they could shift to the Big Ten? I mean, obviously Notre Dame would move all their sports to the Big Ten. So that's another kind of interesting dynamic. The ACC that now includes Stanford and SMU and Cal, and I don't know, the whole super conference thing is kind of flipped things on its head with all this conference realignment.
It's the Big Ten and the SEC now, and the SEC is faltering a little. I think Oregon joining the Big Ten helped a lot. In Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana now. There's Penn State. You got a lot of Big Ten schools in the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. You just wonder, is the ACC are the bigger teams in the ACC going to separate at some point? A Clemson, a Miami, I guess a Florida State. Although I don't know that anyone wants Florida State after this year, but
do you think that a Miami, a Clemson can compete in a Big Ten and an SEC? I think they're pretty comfortable where they are. I could see Notre Dame wanting to join an ACC because of the conferences. Of the power conferences, they are one of the weaker ones.
As currently, no. I mean, I don't think Clemson and Miami are up there with Oregon and Ohio State. And Michigan's starting to recruit well, so I think we have to assume Michigan will become relevant again here in the Big Ten in the next few years. And you still got and you still got Penn State, Washington as.
You'll get it back. Washington will get it back.
I think Washington will get it back. I think USC will get it back. So remember, this is a year in the Big Ten where you've got USC down, Washington down, Michigan down, Wisconsin down. Like all those teams are going to probably come back up. So I do think that, Clemson and Miami, I don't think are currently built to compete in this Big Ten. I agree.
Yeah. So I have Notre Dame winning. I have Notre Dame winning fairly big, but USC, I have them winning by double. I have them winning by 14. I think that they'll win by 14, 2 scores. USC just can't seem to hang for an entire game.
Okay. Well, I have an interesting stat regarding USC. So they're one of only 6 teams in FBS to lead in the fourth quarter in every one of their games. Yet they have 5 losses.
They can't
hang. Notre Dame's defense has played very well, but they have faced 6 offenses that rank worse than 100 in total passing. They've also faced 4 group of 5 teams. USC, everything points to Notre Dame in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants Lincoln Riley fired. Miller Moss got benched and is now going to transfer. Jordan Maeva, who got inserted as starting quarterback, has started to come on, play pretty well. They struggled in the fourth quarter of that game against UCLA, but hung on. Everything points to Notre Dame in this game. They're in the playoffs. USC has nothing to play for. They're 6-5. It's going to be all Notre Dame. Well, I'm picking the upset here.
Oh my God. I love it. You guys heard it here. He is okay.
I'm picking USC. What is the spread in this game? I don't have it in front of me. Oh, there it is, 7.5. I think that's a big number. If you live in the Eastern time zone and you travel, I don't know if South Bend's in the Eastern or Central, but if you live in East Coast and you travel out west, anyone that's made that trip knows that time change can kind of wreak havoc on you for a period of time.
East Coast teams don't travel well.
And
They just don't.
exactly. Yeah. And we know at least in the Big Ten how teams
Our record
traveling
is
out
good.
east to out west have fared against the West Coast teams.
Mhm.
We saw Ohio State lose at Oregon. We almost saw Penn State lose at USC. We saw Michigan lose at Washington. So yeah, I like USC here in a close one. I think USC is going to, and if Notre Dame loses this game, they're absolutely out of the playoff race, or the playoff picture.
I agree.
So,
You can't. There's no argument for them because of that non-conference, you can't make that argument for them.
right.
They don't
Yep.
have that extra edge.
Yep. So I'm not a Lincoln Riley fan, but
I'm not either. I'm not a Lincoln
like-
Riley fan at all.
I like the Trojans here. They got a good stable running backs, good receivers. If Maeva can just get the ball out in space to those wide receivers, and USC's defense has improved now that they moved on from Alex Grinch, another thing Ohio State fans can relate to.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But that's a Lincoln Riley thing, though. You always have that good. You always have that good offense with a USC team, but you don't have a good defense. So
sure. Yeah,
You know?
they've improved this year, but they just can't get out of their own way in the fourth quarter. Like they absolutely should have beat Penn State and just stubbed their toe there in the fourth quarter. And then
beat
they
themselves.
had Michigan beat too in Ann Arbor, and just so
They're not teams against them aren't winning. They're losing. USC is losing.
yeah.
And I know that seems like okay, weirdo, but I think that USC is beating themselves.
Yeah,
a lot.
no, I 100% agree, and I think this is the week rivalry game. I think this is the week they put it all together. So I'm going fight on this week.
I like it. I would love to see that upset if I'm going to be completely honest with you because I don't like Notre Dame and I never have, but I still do think that Notre Dame is going to win. That's a nice upset. I like that one. So Bama Auburn. I mean, I have Bama just because they have a horse's hair chance to make it in because they are big bad Bama. And I think that their name gets them some credit, but I don't think Bama should be in the playoffs, but I do think that they win here.
Yeah, I agree. And looking at the spread, there's some big spreads in some of these games. I don't love double-digit spreads in rivalry games, but Alabama coming off that just awful performance against Oklahoma.
Terrible.
Yeah, I mean, turn it over 3 times. Oklahoma was able to run the football on them. And Auburn's coming into this game confident. They just had that win against Texas A&M. So, Auburn's feeling good about themselves, but Alabama's still got some hope for the playoff. It's in Tuscaloosa. Alabama's just been so bipolar.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
Are we going to get the Alabama we saw in the second half of Georgia against Tennessee?
Right. Are you going to get Milroe, the Heisman contender?
Vanderbilt?
Or are you going to get Milroe, who looks like he has no business being out on the field, confused, making mistakes?
Yeah.
Like, which quarterback are you going to get? I don't understand it. I don't think that he is fit for that offense.
Yeah. I tend to agree, and he's got all the potential. Like we've seen him throw a beautiful deep ball. He's athletic as heck. We've seen the damage he can do at his feet, but he just makes those 1 or 2 mistakes and that was evident against Oklahoma. But long story short, I do think they win this game. Iron Bowl, coming off a bad loss. The way they played against Auburn last year, almost letting that game slip away. I think Alabama's going to come in ready to go this game, knowing if they lose it, they're definitely eliminated. So I think they'll come with a chip on their shoulder, and I think they'll cover. 11.5 is big. but I think they'll win by a couple touchdowns. Would I
So
be
I think
surprised?
they can cover this one easy. Yeah.
I think Auburn can cover and can make this a close game. I just think Alabama's going to come in ready.
Alabama is too deep, I think, and for Auburn. Yeah, I have the same.
Agreed.
Texas A&M. I have Texas. I have Texas winning. I know A&M is no joke. I know they're no slouch. I know they're good. I know that they have a lot riding on this, but I just think that Texas is kind of, relatively consistent right now. Again, what quarterback play are you going to get? I don't know, but I think that I have Texas. I have Ewers having a good game, and I have Texas winning. Get that sun is blinding me. I have to move.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Nothing about this game on paper says Texas A&M can win this game. Texas is better in the trenches. Texas A&M's defense is giving up a lot of big plays, and the Texas offense is good at throwing the ball down the field. Texas A&M's defense gave up 44 to South Carolina. I'm leaning Texas here. I think the spread is 5.5, feels too big for me. What we're not factoring in, I think, is the atmosphere at Kyle Field. And I think the home field atmosphere is worth a couple points.
I do too. I agree.
So
that always gives an edge. Depends on how loud they are. They got to show up. They have to show up.
For sure. But when you look at how the Texas A&M defense has played, I think it really fits well into what Texas wants to do offensively. Texas A&M ranks worse than 100 in giving up pass plays over 20 plus yards, and the Texas offense has 70 plus plays of over 20 yards this year. So I think Texas is going to be able to stretch the ball down the field, and I think they'll win a 3-point game and winner of this game to the SEC title game. So Texas definitely has something they need to play for here.
Yep.
I don't think Texas A&M has enough firepower on offense to put enough up on Texas. But this is exciting. Remember, this game used to be on Black Friday. We'd all get excited to see it. It's not on Black Friday anymore, but I think it's exciting to see these two teams play with this on the line. And
right, with so much to play for.
Texas plays from a talent standpoint. Texas has as much talent as anyone in the country. They've not hit that second gear. Like we think Ohio State's starting to hit that gear. This was our complaint with Ohio State earlier in the year, right? Like they've got all that talent. They haven't hit that gear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they look to be hitting the gear.
Yeah.
Texas feels that way to me.
Texas feels that way to me too, because just watching them earlier this year, it's like you have immense talent. You have immense talent. And that Texas-Georgia game was just baffling to me because both Ewers and they had put in Manning for a bit, and he struggled just as hard as what you expect that out of a true freshman. But Ewers had just a hellacious game. He struggled the whole entire game. So was it a Ewers problem or was it a good Georgia defense? Watching both teams, I don't know, because we've seen two different teams out of both of those teams.
Yeah, and Ewers has been banged up this year, and he's probable, so expect him to play.
Oh, he's playing.
Tomorrow.
I guarantee you that he's playing.
The good thing with Texas is they can lean on the running game, and they play outstanding defense. Really, this game for me is more about what I think the Texas defense can do versus what I think the offense can do, because Texas A&M can stop the run, and I think they'll be able to stop the run, and Texas will just hit a few plays down the field, and I see maybe like a 28-24 game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a mid-scoring game, and I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, agreed.
Last game before we preview the game, Clemson, South Carolina. So South Carolina, I have South Carolina beating Clemson.
I like it.
Yep. I think that South Carolina has a good defense. I think that they have a consistent quarterback. I just think that South Carolina has they're a complete team, and I think that they've played relatively consistent. So I can see them winning.
Well, I can certainly see that happening. Clemson has played 8 FBS teams ranked lower than the top 80. The 2 teams they've played that were of any significant prowess, Georgia got ran to start the year.
Yeah, they got
Louisville won by 12, but was controlling the game, and that game was in Death Valley. So I can certainly see that. And South Carolina is good at getting after the passer. They rank 9th in total pressures. Clemson is a offensive line that gets up a lot of pressures. They rank 69th in pressure allowed. And in their last 2 games against Power 4 conferences, they have given up 9 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
The path for South Carolina to win this game is to put some pressure on Cade Klubnik.
Yes.
And I definitely think that can happen. I'm picking Clemson here in a very close game. Yeah, 2.5. I think that's about right.
Yeah,
it's going to be a very close game. I like Clemson to win this one. I'm going to say 24-23. I think I say home field advantage counts for 2-3 points. I think that's going to matter here. I think the home field advantage in Death Valley will do it for Clemson. Clemson still has a shot at the AC title game. They
do.
Need to win. They need to win, and they need Syracuse win over Miami.
Right. They need some chaos to ensue as well. So I do think that, Clemson will go in with that, a little bit of that extra motivation, but I think that South Carolina maybe will want to go in there with let's just end it. Like, let's just be a giant killer. And,
And this game was a slugfest last year.
Yes, it was.
So
yeah,
I think it's going to be that's on during the Ohio State-Michigan game. So maybe
I know.
Maybe 2 monitors are in.
Yeah, or an iPad or something. Yeah, you're going to have that extra.
This is that's going to be a fun game. I just do like Clemson because of the home field, but I would not be surprised if South Carolina won this game. They're really, if you look at how the 2 teams are trending, you would say South Carolina is trending upward and Clemson is trending a bit downward. So if momentum is a thing that you worry about, then, South Carolina might definitely be the play here.
Yeah, I think it's an upset, but is it really an upset, right? It's just one of those games where on paper, ranked, it's an upset. If it happens, nobody is going to say, oh, that was the big upset of no, I don't think that, Vandy, Tennessee would be an upset, or Georgia Tech, Georgia would be an upset. I think a South Carolina, Clemson would just be Clemson didn't play well.
Sure. Yeah. Agreed.
So let's get into the game. Ohio State, Michigan. In my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinion, the best rivalry in all of not just college football, but probably all of sports. Some people would say that. I think everybody is born. If you are a Michigan fan, you are born to hate Ohio State and you don't know why. And if you're an Ohio State fan, you are born to hate Michigan and you don't know why. That's just how you're born.
Yeah, facts. That's 100%.
Right. No one knows why. We just are. we hate the team, not the player. I have seen, it's people get a little bit rowdy on social media. Let's not attack the fans. Let's just hate the teams. Let's try to keep it a little bit clean. But I will say that if, get a little spicy, I will get a little spicy tomorrow. So Joseph, I'll start with you. Tell me your thoughts on this game.
Well, I think if you look at how both teams are playing coming to this, we know what Michigan has been all year.
Yep.
Their quarterback situation has been, not good. They didn't go after a quarterback in the portal. They've won what they had on the roster. They started with Davis Warren. They thought Jack Tuttle would be the answer. He got hurt. Mm-hmm. They sprinkled in some Alex Orji to try some quarterback runs. That hasn't worked.
It has not worked at all.
So they are one of the worst passing teams in FBS statistically. They do still run the ball very well.
Well, they have Mullings, who's been
great.
Leo
Mullins, and they still have Donovan Edwards. They still run the ball pretty well. They on a yards per carry standpoint, they are similar to last year's team.
Mm-hmm.
Their offensive line, good, not as good as last year,
Nope.
but still decent.
Respectable.
Yes, agreed. Skill players, no one at wide receiver that strikes fear in you.
No.
They've still got Colston Loveland. He is questionable, but I'm pretty sure he's playing. So expect Colston Loveland to play, I would think, tomorrow. He's their one threat you worry about on offense. So he would be the guy Ohio State wants to take away.
Right.
If you look at it on the other side of the ball, Jim Knowles has been on an absolute banger with this defense.
Yes, he has. He's been flawless. He has been flawless on this defense with these schemes, with the blitzes. He's been flawless.
100%. And at the end of the day, you've got one of the worst passing offenses in FBS against one of the best defenses overall in FBS. On paper, everyone uses throw the records out. That's fair. It's rivalry.
It's rivalry. It's Ohio State, Michigan, right? We know it's a little bit more than
on paper. It's a mismatch when you look at the Michigan offense versus the Ohio State defense, and on the reverse side, Michigan is 4th nationally stopping the run, but only 72nd nationally stopping the pass.
Right. Right.
And
so if we have to abandon a run game, we have a very, very strong pass game that we can rely on.
Yep. And whether
it's gonna be cold.
mid-20s, but
no
wind.
No weather. It's just gonna be cold.
Yeah. Just cold.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a 240-pound quarterback with fairly large-sized hands. I don't think throwing the ball is going to be an issue in that weather as long as the wind stays away. So you just, in my opinion, I just wonder. I think maybe that might be a Will Howard game.
Yeah, I think it could be a Will Howard game, and I think it could be a Will Howard run game because let's be honest, we talked about how Penn State was. They have a great front seven. They were really good against the run, and we ripped off 12. In the last fourth quarter, we ripped off 12 consecutive runs for first downs. So I think it's there. I think that there are some good options. There's some good quarterback options with Will Howard behind center.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And we've not seen them bust out Will Howard in the run game.
I think we can. I think we will.
Yeah, I think this might be the time. We saw it against Penn State, and then he's
a little bit.
At the end there to salt that drive away. But we haven't seen a lot of it. So I wonder if he'll kind of unleash that here tomorrow. Ryan Day's always got some stuff up his sleeve for Michigan. So we'll try a halfback pass. Emeka Buka played some quarterback in college or in high school. So
he did. And Emeka is just so incredibly talented.
A wide receiver pass.
There's that, but Will Johnson, Michigan's basically their best player. Will Johnson was their best player. He's not playing. He's sitting out. I can't blame him. Why would you risk injury when you know you're going to go into the NFL and for what? Nothing. Not really. That's where this rivalry has kind of died down a little bit. You don't have the hatred. I think Ohio State is bringing it back from our side. Kyle McCord didn't get it. It was just another game for him. But the way Will Howard talks is this kid gets it. And that's what you want. You want these players, you want them to go out and hate the other team. You want them to go out and want to fight. You want them to go out, you don't want them to play dirty, but you want them to go out and hit hard. You want them to go out, and I don't want to see what that Kansas player did to Shadir Sanders. I don't want to see that kind of play because that was dirty. I don't know if you had a chance to see that, where that tackle, he tackled low, he tackled at the knees. I don't want to see any dirt. But you want to see hard hits. You want to see them going after each other. You want to see them jawing. And Will Howard is a professional trash talker. So
apparently, I didn't know I had that in there, but he's definitely that guy. So
yeah, and I think that it matters to an Emeka Buka. I think it matters to a Travion Henderson. I think it matters to a Denzel Burke. I think it matters to JTT. A lot of these players came back to finish the job. And I just think that Ohio State's defense is going to be so, Michigan doesn't have a great pass game. Do you stuff the box a little bit more and play back a little bit? Maybe let them challenge Igbinosun and Denzel Burke, let them challenge some of our safeties, our secondaries. Caleb Downs is always going to be a difference maker. I think JTT, difference maker. Tyleek. I think we're going to see some of these schemes that we've seen. Jim Knowles, I think we're gonna blitz. I think we're going to stuff that box, and I just don't think that Michigan's going to be able to sustain it.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I think he'll stuff the box. I don't know that he'll. Wonder if or maybe he doesn't change a whole lot since what he's doing has been working.
Yeah.
Which will be like let Michigan score first and then just say, oh, you're not getting another yard the entire game. So
right. Right. Let's use that first drive to see what you guys are calling. Like, let's see what you got. Show us what you got that first drive. We'll be okay because we know we're going to score. I do have Michigan scoring twice. I have us winning 38-14. I don't think it's going to be like exceptionally high scoring, but I think that they score twice.
Yeah, 31-10 is my pick. I think they'll get it. They have a good field goal kicker, so I think they'll get a field goal, and I think they'll find maybe their touchdown comes in garbage time. Even if the Michigan defense plays a great game, they're still probably going to need 21 to have a chance in this game.
I agree.
And the question becomes, can they score 21? And most people might. Yeah. Most people would probably answer that question no. So, we've had some weird games in this rivalry. So,
well, we have, but let's factor in. So, one of the biggest complaints all year has been Ohio State. Ohio Stadium has been quiet, and I was at 2 games this year, and I would have agreed. It was very subdued. It was very quiet. They were not disrupting any cadences. It just wasn't loud. But that Indiana game, everybody that I had talked to that was there, you could hear it on TV. Gus and Joel were talking about how loud it was. I think that if that is the crowd that shows up, I think you're going to disrupt a lot of the momentum too. You're going to disrupt their cadence. You're going to disrupt just a lot of their rhythm. And I think that's who's going to show up. I know it's going to be cold, so everybody get hype, move around, stay warm. I think the fans are going to have something to say about it this year.
Yeah, that crowd was raucous against Indiana. Mm-hmm. I'd expect mid-20s. That won't scare us Ohioans.
No, we live in Ohio. Like this
Come on,
is yeah. You think it just dressed warm? It's not gonna be snow.
They'll be ruckus and ready to go, and they'll be out there tailgating at 6 a.m.
And the students will not be wearing their shirts in Block O. Like it's just the way it's.
That's a little. I can't say I've ever done. That's a little insane, but
I can't say that I see just getting off topic. I don't see the point of that. Like, how is getting frostbite, freezing to death going to help your team? Put clothes on and just cheer louder. Like that's.
Yeah, maybe it's a toughness thing, but they can have that.
It's the beer. The beer makes you feel a little bit warmer than what you are.
For sure.
So we are a little over the hour. Before we close out, I do want to play. So obviously, we are Ohio State. I want to play. This is from 11 Warriors. I did pull this off TikTok. So this is 2 minutes. So just bear with me. For 2 minutes, you guys.
The rivalry, the game. Being born a Buckeye, you grow up with 2 things: an unwavering love for the scarlet and gray, and a hatred for that team up north.
Got him. Touchdown. Heartline.
I can't believe God gave me a chance to be a Buckeye, because there's nothing like it.
This rivalry is both beauty and beast, a brutal test that reveals who will rise when all seems lost and who will fall. The history, the pageantry, the raw hatred. This is the rivalry. Every hit echoes through history. Every play is more than a moment, it's a statement.
if you grew up a Buckeye, if you grew up in the great state of Ohio, or if you are a Buckeye now, this is the real one. This is the greatest rivalry in all of sport, not college football, all of sport.
This is what we play for. This is what we work out for. This game right here.
With all that brotherhood and trust, everything comes to right now. You're really willing to go? You're really willing to go?
Touchdown, Garrett Wilson. Wow. Punch it back. Ohio State wins. This is our stadium, our state.
A new chapter will live forever in this battle called a rivalry.
It doesn't get any more big time than this.
So there you have it. Like that, I think that sums it up. That gave me goosebumps. That made me want to run through a wall. So my closing thoughts on the game are I have, I think, two favorite moments ever. And one of them was in there when Curtis Samuel ran that ball in and LeBron James was there. We had just won in Cleveland, we had just won the world championship for the Cavs. And he brought all of the players there. Curtis Samuel wins. They cause an earthquake. Like it was amazing. But I think my favorite moment ever was when I believe it was it Devin Gardner, when JT Barrett tore his ACL, when Devin Gardner was the first player to go stand over him and you'll be that brother to him. And I think that it's more than a game. It is absolutely more than a game. It is, at the end of the day, it is just a game. And that's the kind of camaraderie that you want to see. You want to see, you hate the team, you want to beat the team, but you don't want to be, a terrible human. And I think that was one of the best moments that we had ever seen because you see the respect that we have for each other. So with that being said, Joseph, give us your closing thoughts on the game and then remind us again where we can find you.
Yeah, sure. I think my favorite moment, it's hard to beat the 2006, the one versus
42-39.
I mean, it's I don't know that I've watched a more heart-wrenching game ever of any of my teams. You definitely have to keep the heart rate in check when you're watching a game like that for sure.
Let me give you a fun thing on that though. So in Ohio, I remember this. In Ohio, the Pick 4 lottery was 4239 that year. That was the Pick 4. Yep.
That's amazing. And
so
I guess things happen for a reason.
That's cool. So go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that was
you're good. The year escapes me, and this might be an underrated moment. The year we're in Ann Arbor and JT Barrett hurt his knee because he got hit by the cart, and then Dwayne Haskins, may he rest in peace, came in, led that touchdown drive, made that great throw. I don't know. For some reason, I really love that moment. And Ohio State was losing at that point, and we're going to lose this game. And Haskins comes in, leads the touchdown drive. So that was definitely a really fun moment. And the Curtis Samuel one, I almost jumped through my window. There's so many. We could have an entire podcast on that, but it's we haven't seen. Hopefully we get to relive some special moments tomorrow because we haven't been able to see them in a few years, so hopefully we can get back on the winning track here.
In 3 years, it's been too long. So go Bucks. I think we all have go Bucks. We all have them. Joseph, tell us again where we can find you. Tell us what, give us a little rundown on your great work that you're doing.
Sure, thank you. So on X at OSU FB Fanatic. And I've got two X spaces I do. There's a baseball space, MLB Barrel Up with Anna and Joseph. That is Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. And then I have a NFL space starting up with James. That'll be Gridiron Talk, and that is starting Thursday, December 5th. It'll either be 8 or 9. We have not finalized the time there yet, so hopefully everyone can join. And then NFL is winding down. Football is almost over in general, so it's kind of flown by. I don't know where time has flown by, but here we are.
Yeah, the barrel up. I personally listened to that. You guys, Joseph and Anna do a phenomenal job. They are very, very knowledgeable. So if you want a little bit of a switch to baseball, they're very, very knowledgeable and talk about a lot of other things there. So please check them out. You will not regret it.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. Yeah. Anna's wonderful. We definitely
She is.
She's a great co-host. So very grateful.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for joining. This was amazing. I'm so glad to have you. I was saying, for this, I wanted to have an Ohio State fan. I wanted to have someone who, we had similar views on our team, and, we had some nice little, disagreements on some of the upsets. And that's what makes this awesome, the collaboration awesome. So I really appreciate you being on here, and I appreciate everybody watching, everybody that has commented. And, whoever you're rooting for, I hope they win, unless it's Michigan.
Amen to that.
Yeah. So bye, everyone. Have an amazing weekend. Have an amazing rivalry week. And I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you.